So, a warm hello. Welcome to this meditation. And I think it's fairly well known that Buddhism um, doesn't think very highly of the kind of desires that have to do with craving or clinging and grasping. What's less known is that Buddhism has a lot to do with desires that can be characterized as aspiration, inspiration even. But I like the word aspiration. And the distinction between those is that the ones that Buddhism thinks poorly of, the ones that bring suffering, are the ones that in one way or the other close us down, contract us, tighten us, limit us, or oppress us even. And aspiration are the desires that open us up. And the word aspiration is derived from the word in Latin that's connected to breathing, just like respiration is to breathe, is our breathing system. So the idea of aspiration that comes from the opening breath, the expanding breath, the breath that kind of the breathing that helps us become whole or full. And so I think of aspiration as a movement towards wholeness. Aspiration is, for me, is very much about desire has more to do, I think, for me, with the focus of desire, the object of desire, and aspiration has a lot more to do with the source of inspiration inside, the source of openness, inspiration, creativity, possibility, the something deep inside that wants to kind of emerge and blossom, come to fruition. And so in Buddhism we aspire to becoming free, aspire to becoming whole, and the path to that is to be whole, and to allow the aspiration of being present to really help us to fill up into the present moment. And added to that is the aspiration for what is beneficial, what is good, what is happiness and delight. And that comes together, this kind of ability to focus on this wholeness of happiness, wholeness of goodness, that this place of aspiration, if we can connect to it deep inside and let it emerge, maybe with each breath, that each breath is, it carries the aspiration to fullness, aspiration to connect to that which is good in us. Of course, there are challenges we have. Of course, there are all kinds of other things happening within us. And not to, in any kind of way, push them away or somehow dismiss them offhand, but to have this aspiration, this growth to presence, to mindfulness that becomes full, where there's lots of space for all of who we are. And we don't get fixated on the parts that are difficult. They are held within this wider whole of what is beneficial and what is good. So, to take a meditation posture, and ideally you take a posture that there's a room for becoming whole, where in a way all of ourselves is included. One of the reasons to sit cross-legged, if you can, is that there's a little bit more of a kind of, I think it's easier to have a feeling of the whole body comes together than when we're sitting in a chair. Or at least when I've sat in a chair, I often feel like my lower part of half my body is not really as connected to the upper part. But cross-legged, it all comes here. But even if you're laying down, maybe there's some way of laying that body is symmetrical, or the body is laying on its back so that the chest a little bit is open and exposed. To be, and then to gently close your eyes. And if what I'm about to say makes sense for you, great. If not, don't worry about it. See if you can bring yourself to the source, the beginning of breathing. Where does your breathing begin? Where in your body is the first indication, first little hint that inhale has begun? Is it a little movement in the belly, a little movement in the chest, a little tug or tingling the nostrils? And from that beginning point of inhale, the inhale grows. If you're breathing quickly, it might grow very fast. If your breathing slows down, you might have a sense of leisure, space, time, to really feel the growth, the expansion of the fullness of the inhale. And after, when you get to the top of the inhale, maybe you can feel the letting go, the releasing, the settling of the chest, the belly, as you exhale all the way to the end of the exhale, to the last sensation that expresses the exhale. Maybe it brings you back to that place where the inhale begins, where the exhale ends and the inhale begins. And as you inhale and feel your lungs fill with oxygen, maybe you can feel a little sense of growing fullness of awareness. Maybe a fullness in your whole body, or your torso, your rib cage. And as you exhale, letting go of your thoughts and concerns. In a way, the more you can let go of your thoughts and make space in your mind, that space can receive more fully your fullness of being. And then as you breathe in, see if you can have almost a silent aspiration for well-being. An aspiration that recognizes your potential for a sense of well-being, maybe because once upon a time you felt that way. And I use the word well-being to encompass many possibilities of happiness and joy and satisfaction, peace, whatever you're inspired by. And have an opening aspiration for your own well-being. And as you inhale, let the expansive and the fullness of the inhale carry and spread that wish for well-being out into the body, where maybe you can feel in the wholeness of yourself some hints, some traces of well-being. Letting your mind be quiet as you exhale. So breathing, fullness, aspiration for wellness connects you more and more to the present moment, to here and now of your experience here in your body. This is the place, in the present, where your wholeness, your well-being can arise on the wings of your aspiration, the wings of your breathing. Breathing and inhaling in such a way that it opens you up from the inside to the present moment. That it opens you up from the inside to your body's experience of the present moment. Inhaling with an aspiration for well-being as a potential possibility here now in this body. The opening aspiration. Aspiration is itself a form of well-being. Aspiration has a goodness in it. And so when we breathe in, when we inhale and let the chest expand, the belly open up, becoming whole with oxygen, full. Let that also carry the goodness of your aspiration for well-being, for wellness, for happiness. And let that goodness of aspiration be carried by your inhale throughout your body. The body that expands as you breathe in. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, maybe as you inhale and feel the chest expand, the lungs fill, imagine that your aspiration, an aspiration for the welfare of the world, rises and spreads out from your inhale to cover the whole world. As you breathe in, your expansion of the body spreads your aspiration for the goodwill to the whole world. And as you breathe out, you might say, "May it be so." An aspiration for the welfare of all beings is itself a wholesome and good, beneficial state to have for oneself. There's goodness in it. And as you breathe and spread your aspiration for the welfare of all beings, maybe you can feel, maybe physically, maybe in the heart, the goodness of that, the wellness of that, the kind of aspiration that's opening, expansive, from a place of inspiration. And may it be that our collective well-wishing of the world for others spread from our meditation community out into our neighborhoods, our towns, our lands, to the people we somehow or other encounter or learn about or communicate with today. May the goodness of our aspiration spread across the lands by how we speak and how we act and how we think of others. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be free. So this is the second talk on this week's theme of loving kindness as one of the divine abodes, immeasurables. And so the word for, the Pali word, the Buddhist word for loving kindness is metta, M-E-T-T-A, and it's a cognate to the word mitta, which means friend. And so part of the connotations of metta is friendliness. And friendliness is a basic attitude of respecting people, being kind to people, appreciating people, being open to kind of a friendly exchange, a kind exchange with people. And it's possible to be friendly with people who you don't really like or who are challenging in a variety of ways. And so the word loving kindness, which is, I think, a beautiful concept and word in English, for some people it might not really represent metta as fully as other English translations. Some people, the idea of love is a very high bar, and to have loving kindness, kindness which is filled with love, it's hard to do for people who are challenging for us. Maybe there are people who we find difficult to love because they're just, maybe it doesn't have to explain why, but there are challenging people that exist in our lives and we encounter. And so to love them might be, unreasonable, and to hold ourselves up to some kind of standard, we're supposed to love everyone, might not be realistic. But it is possible to have goodwill for everyone, to be friendly for everyone, and friendly towards the strangers, friendly, a sense of hospitality for anybody that we encounter. And so it might be that a word that translates metta more appropriately into English is the word goodwill, where there's an aspiration, an intention, a willingness to spread our goodness, to extend our goodness to others. So they feel safe with us, they feel happy with us, they feel that we have their best interest in mind, we have their good interest in mind, we're there to support their welfare, not there to support their ill. We're not there trying to undermine them or be critical of them or diminish who they are in some way. And so goodwill. I also like the word kindness as a translation of metta, because kindness has for me implies more than just a feeling or an attitude. Kindness has connotations for me of you actually an extension towards other people. There's an expression of, we have kind words, we have a kind gaze, we have a kind action. That kindness is, goodwill can just be that you kind of radiate a sense of well-wishing for someone. But kindness implies a little bit more action for me. And so I like the word kindness, just simply kindness as a translation for metta. In the ancient Buddhist texts, metta is described this way. The primary characteristic of metta is to promote the welfare of all beings, to promote beneficial conditions for others. So this idea of wanting to benefit, wanting things to be beneficial, and it says beneficial conditions, so it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the one who provides them with those conditions, but there's a genuine wish that may the conditions of their life be such that they have happiness and well-being. May they experience welfare. And while it's a big difference between simply wishing that and doing something for it, we shouldn't underestimate the tremendous value of having goodwill for others. I know I've been the recipient of people's simple goodwill, and it makes a difference. Something inside of me kind of opens up or is buoyed or inspired by just knowing that people are thinking well of me. It says that that the core of loving kindness is focusing on what is beneficial. So it requires some sense of what is beneficial. Simply to wish someone win a very big lottery ticket, and to get really amazingly wealthy, is that really for their benefit? As I've said enough times, that there's been studies made that people who win big chunks of money in a lottery, a year after winning it, they're less happy than they were before they won it. So, to really wish people what's genuinely beneficial, what's really supportive for them, and nice for them. And it might not be wealth, it might not be status, it might not be material goods. It might be that, sometimes it can be so simple. Some of the simplest things are some of the most fulfilling and happy. I think that learning how to breathe with a breath that's just easy, an easeful breath, is a phenomenal wealth. The Buddha said that for a monastic, who is not, monastics are not supposed to acquire money, does not have money or wealth. He said that wealth for a monastic is metta, is loving kindness, is goodwill. And this is a wonderful kind of juxtaposition, that having goodwill for others is a wealth for oneself. There's so much goodness in that aspiration that the goodness of the aspiration kind of benefits and feeds or nourishes something in us. And this idea that so that we're focusing on the beneficial both for others and for ourselves, it's kind of this mutual way. And this is where I really love this English word aspiration. As I've said earlier, that aspiration is a beneficial desire, that Buddhism champions. Aspiration is a good thing. And that it's a desire which is opening, desire which is freeing, desire which helps us feel more connected, one that it contains within it beneficial seeds, beneficial goodness in it, so that when we breathe with aspiration, inspiration, that we get filled with something good. It nourishes something there for ourselves. And so to have the aspiration for others' welfare, we're benefiting ourselves as we're benefiting others. We know, the description goes on and says, the manifestation of metta is the removal of malice, the removal of ill will. So we know that loving kindness is present in a stable, strong way when there's absolutely no ill will. There's only a goodwill that's there. And its proximate cause is the loveliness of beings. What a great expression, that the proximate cause, the proximate condition that brings about this metta is seeing the loveliness in beings. So how do we see the beauty in other people? I think that one of the things that it requires is slowing down, taking the time to pay attention to that. Our minds will go fast, they pay attention to all kinds of things, we have a lot of desires, we have a lot of wants, we have a lot of preoccupations, concerns, fears. And so when we encounter someone, sometimes all these different things are swirling around and making the mind fast or caught up in things. But to stop and take time, it doesn't have to be anybody notices you're pausing that long, but to learn to appreciate the loveliness of beings, the beauty of other people. Everyone has loveliness. Everyone has it. And to begin to tune into that. And that's why, again, if we go back to meditation practice, as we discover our own loveliness, as we start sitting and opening up to our beauty, the beauty within, the capacity for integrity and wholeness, of lack of conflict, lack of ill will, lack of hostility, lack of greed, this beautiful place inside that where this kind of whole other way of being lives, is with us, and we recognize the beauty in ourselves, then it's more and more easy to see that in other people. It's there. And if we don't see it in other people, one principle you might want to consider, as a principle, not as a truth, is that maybe, just maybe, you don't see it in others because you haven't seen it in yourself. And if you really see it in yourself, you'll see it even in people who are quite difficult. You'll see there the seed. Maybe it's hidden even from them, but it's a seed, it's a potential, it's something lovely to appreciate in others. And it says, then the last part of this description is that metta fails when it leads to, the translation here is sticky affection. So affection for others, which there's a neediness and a wantingness and a graspingness. So that's not metta. Metta is open-handed. The hands don't grasp, don't hold on to anything with metta. Just like a freely offered. Things are just offered freely, and here you can have it. You can have my goodwill, and it's offered freely, and I'm not going to hold on and demand anything in return. So, and metta is an aspiration, for all the emphasis we do in mindfulness about being in the present moment, that it's not really the full story of a full liberated life, that there's also a place for having a sense of potential and possibility for others, and wishing that for them, certainly wishing it for them they can have it now, but a sense of the possibility they can grow into that, and may it be so. May it be. And so that aspiration, this is what I would like. My wish is, my heartfelt wish, my wholehearted wish is really that other people feel well and happy. You don't have to tell people that you have this wish for them. You don't even tell people you have goodwill for them. Sometimes some relationships are such that it's too complicated if you tell them. Because there are people with sticky affection, or people who will, are even mean sometimes, and all kinds of difficult ways of being. So the wonderful art of metta is knowing when to do it privately, and but just to have goodwill for others. And I've had goodwill, and I've heard stories of people say that they have a very difficult person in their lives, and they decided to just have goodwill for them, kind of privately. Sometimes they do hold them in their loving kindness when they're not together, and when they are together, they're kind of like just kind of reflecting on their well-wishing for that person. And nothing special is said, nothing special is done that expresses the goodwill. But just that attitude seems to change the circumstance, and the person seems to become kinder, or less threatening, or less difficult to be with. Finally, this Brahmaviharas, this practice of loving kindness, it's both an expression that can be in present moment, just to express, to live with loving kindness and goodness and well-being, wishing well-being or friendliness to others. But it's also as I keep saying, an aspiration. And an aspiration is a choice. And it's possible to marshal together a choice, a decision, a wish. Yes, I want to be kind here. I want to be friendly here. I want to wish this person well. I see what's beneficial. I see their loveliness. And to live that life where we choose to have that aspiration, to be part of what rises out of us and opens us. It doesn't mean, so what it means is you don't have to feel loving kindness. You don't have to feel friendly. Maybe those feelings will follow in the wake of the aspiration, but the wish is something deeper than a feeling. And we do have some choice over that. So don't wait to have the feeling to have the wish. And if the wish is an aspiration, it'll carry with it goodness. It'll carry with it welfare. And you'll benefit from having that wish if it's sincere. May all of us have the sincere wish to benefit ourselves and others. And may we be carried and expanded and come to fullness in our kindness and goodwill. And may you, for this day that next 24 hours until we meet again, why don't you do some experiments, take some risks, and see if you can make a little bit this metta, loving kindness, goodwill, a kind of a theme you carry with you through the day. And reflect on it, think of it, extend it to others, and see what you learn about loving kindness that in the next 24 hours that you didn't know, you don't know right now. So, thank you very much. I look forward to our time tomorrow.